thermodynamics basically says that over time, any closed system tends toward maximum disorder. A hot cup of coffee cools to room temperature. A sandcastle crumbles. Kojima is using this encryption as a powerful metaphor for time itself. Think about what happens to a historical event over 140 years.
Details get lost. Memories fade.
The physical details just dissolve. The exact texture of Billy's wool jacket, the specific way the light hit his eyes that afternoon, the smell of the gunpowder in the air, the sound of his voice, it all dissolves into the noise of time.
It vanishes into the binary void, as he puts it.
So when you watch that video and you see Billy dissolve into static, you aren't just watching a cool tech effect. You are watching a simulation of history dying. The material truth is being consumed by entropy, by the noise of time.
But the video doesn't just end in a screen full of static. The side images, the myth, and the corrected truth, they start to come back, don't they?
They do, but, and this is key, they don't fade back in smoothly or perfectly. They are restored through a series of glitches.
Glitches. Usually, we think of a glitch as an error, a mistake, something went wrong, my Netflix stream froze, or character in the video game falls through the floor.
Right. Our entire experience with technology trains us to see glitches as failures of the system. But Kojima flips that idea on its head. He argues that in the digital age, the glitch is the primary mechanism of reconstruction.
Okay, unpack that for me. How is an error a tool for reconstruction?
Think about how we rebuild the past in real life. We don't have a time machine. We can't go back and see the real Billy the Kid. We have to piece the story together from fragments. A dusty court document here, a faded diary entry there, a rusted, scratched-up tintype that's optically reversed. These are all flawed, corrupted fragments.
So our understanding of history is basically like trying to read a corrupted file from an old hard drive.
Precisely. We are assembling the truth from a collection of errors, misinterpretations, and massive gaps in the record. Kojima is showing us that the after-state, the history we possess today, is a digital ghost. It's a likeness that we've managed to recover from the void, but it's a likeness that is fundamentally built out of glitches.
That is surprisingly poetic for a bunch of binary code.
Yeah.
It suggests that the error isn't a bug, it's a feature of memory itself.
Memory is a glitch. It's an imperfect reconstruction that changes subtly every single time we access it.
So we have this visual of the dissolving and then glitching, reforming Billy, but there's another layer to the video installation that we need to describe, the lines.
Ah, yes, the constellation. This is the central element in the second video of the Triptych series.
Describe what that looks like for the listeners.
So you still have this field of randomized, noisy pixels, and layered on top of it, Kojima uses an algorithm to pick 4 random pixel points on the screen at any given moment, and the code draws thin, sharp white lines connecting them.
So you have this shifting geometric shape, like a quadrilateral overlaid on the static.
A shifting, jagged constellation. It's in constant motion, constantly recalculating, finding new points, drawing new lines, disappearing and reappearing.
And what does that represent? It feels very abstract.
That is the network. And this brings us right back to our itinerant photographer from the beginning.
The pioneer social network.
Right. Back in 1880, what was the network? It was physical. It was the U.S. Postal Service. It was a Pony Express rider. It was a stagecoach carrying a leather mailbag with a tiny tintype tucked inside an envelope, moving slowly from New Mexico to a relative in New York.
A network made of mud and horses and steam.
But today, the network is invisible. It's fiber optic cables under the ocean. It's servers in massive air-conditioned data centers. It's algorithms. Those shifting lines connecting the pixels represent the invisible algorithms that dictate how we see the world today.
We aren't just looking at a static picture anymore. We are watching a dynamic calculation.
That's what Billy the Kid is now. He isn't a man. He isn't even a photo on a piece of steel. He is a packet of data. He is being processed, routed, encrypted, decrypted, compressed, and displayed by a global system that we don't even see. Those lines are the ghost of that system.
It really changes how you feel about the image on your screen. It stops being a portrait and it starts being a process, an ongoing event.
And that is very much in line with Kenji Kojima's background as an artist. We should probably touch on who this guy is because he's not your typical art school graduate working in a studio.
No, he's a coder first and foremost, right?
He's a self-taught programmer. But his interests are this fascinating fusion of the ultra-modern and the very, very old. He has a deep, abiding interest in medieval art materials, things like egg tempera, gold leaf, the chemistry of pigments.
Computer code and medieval art. That's a very specific Venn diagram.
But if you think about it for a second, it makes perfect sense. What was medieval art? It was about encoding complex religious meaning into a system of symbols. A halo means this, the color blue means that. And what is coding? It's about encoding logic into a formal syntax. Both are systems of encoding a version of reality. Kojima specializes in what's called bitwise operations.
Which is manipulating data at the most fundamental level possible, the individual ones and zeros.
He wants to get down to the very fabric of digital reality to, as he says, decipher the chaos of reality. And the fact that his work is archived at Rhizome, which is one of the premier global institutions for preserving and showing digital art, validates that this isn't just a tech demo, this is serious art history being written.
So we've got the tintype, we've got the encryption, we've got the network. But I want to zoom out to the philosophical argument here. Because Kojima makes a claim in his artist statement that is, well, it's pretty bold. He calls this entire process a digital reformation.
This is my favorite part of the entire theory. It's where he connects the 16th century to the 21st century in a really profound way.
He's literally comparing the shift to digital art to the Protestant Reformation.
He is, and to understand why that comparison isn't as crazy as it sounds, you have to look at the power dynamics. What was the Protestant Reformation fundamentally when you strip it all down?
Well, the history class version. It was Martin Luther nailing his 95 Theses to a church door. It was about breaking away from the perceived corruption of the Catholic Church.
But how did they do it? What was the mechanism? It was about access to information. Before Luther, the church held a total monopoly on the divine. The Bible was in Latin. Only the priests could read it and interpret it. If you, a common person, wanted to know what God said, you had to pay the priest to tell you.
They controlled the source code of salvation.
That's a perfect way to put it. The Reformation was about translating the Bible into the common tongue, into German, into English. It was about using the new technology of the printing press to decentralize that power so that anyone could, in theory, access the truth for themselves.
Okay, that makes sense. So how does that apply to the high-end art world?
Look at the art market today. Who are the high priests?
The big galleries, the auction houses like Christie's and Sotheby's, the billionaire collectors.
The people who control the physical object. The people who can afford to spend $2.3 million on a single tintype. They hoard the original. They keep it locked away in a climate-controlled vault. If you want to see the truth, you have to go to their museum, pay their ticket price, and look at it through glass.
They control access to the Latin Bible.
Exactly. The entire monetary value of that tintype is based on its artificial scarcity. I have the only one, therefore it is worth millions. But Kojima is saying that the digital reformation completely blows that model up, because a digital file
Can be copied infinitely.
Yeah, infinitely and perfectly. If I email you the video file of binary interpretation of Billy the Kid, your copy is bit for bit identical to mine. There is no original anymore in the traditional sense.
So the very concept of scarcity, which the entire art market is built on, just evaporates.
It completely collapses, and with it, the power of the high priests of the art market collapses. The value is no longer in hoarding the object. Kojima argues the value is in spreading the idea.
Now, I know what some of our listeners are probably screaming at their speakers right now. But wait, what about NFTs? Non-fungible tokens. Aren't they literally designed to reintroduce scarcity and make digital art expensive again?
That is the elephant in the digital room, and Kojima's take on this is absolutely scathing.
Which is surprising because a lot of digital artists embraced NFTs. It was a way for them to finally get paid for their work.
True, but Kojima has a brilliant analogy. He calls NFTs digital wrapping paper.
Digital wrapping paper.
Yeah.
That is definitely not a compliment.
Think about what that means. The art, the digital file itself, is the gift. It's fluid, it's copyable, it's alive in the network. The NFT is just a cryptographically signed receipt that you take to the side of it so you can pretend it's a tradable product.
So it's an attempt to force the old rules of the physical world onto this new, fluid digital world.
It's exactly that. It's the old guard art market trying to reestablish the priesthood. They are creating artificial scarcity in a world of infinite abundance. They want to turn art as signal into art as stock.
Art as signal versus art as stock. That really frames the conflict perfectly.
And Kojima's work actively resists that. He uses encryption to make the artwork an experience, a process. You can't really own the process of the one-time pad running on a screen. It's a calculation, it's a live event. The value isn't in a file hidden in a crypto wallet. The value is in the process of watching the myth dissolve and reconstruct.
So if the value isn't monetary, and it isn't based on ownership, What is it? Why should we care about this art? What are we supposed to get out of it?
Kojima proposes a new kind of value, one based on what he calls intellectual resonance.
Which means?
What exactly? It means the value comes from participation, from the dialogue it creates. We aren't supposed to be worshiping the metal plate in a museum anymore. We're invited to participate in a living binary dialogue. The image circulates freely, it mutates, it gets remixed, it gets reinterpreted.
It's democratic. The power is given back to the network.
Just like the tintype was supposed to be in the first place.
Wait, bring that back around. How was the tintype democratic?
Remember, the tintype wasn't for the rich. It was the people's photography in the 19th century. It was cheap, it was fast, and it was durable enough to be sent through the mail. It was a democratic medium of the frontier. The digital file is the democratic medium of the internet. We just got sidetracked for 100 years by this abnormal greed in the art market that tried to turn a democratic object into an elite commodity.
So Kojima is, in a way, trying to return photography to its populist roots, to make it a tool for communication again, not just a tool for investment banking.
That is the heart of the digital reformation.
Man, that connects all the dots so well. So if we pull the lens back as far as it can go, what does this tell us about America? Because Billy the Kid is a symbol for America in a weird way.
He is. He's the myth of the self-made rebel, the outlaw individualist, and the source material really digs into this idea of America as a digital globe.
Kojima suggests that America isn't a fixed destination, not a settled history.
Exactly. We tend to teach our history as a static timeline. A happens, then B happens, then C. Billy the Kid was a bad guy, Pat Garrett shot him, the end. It's presented as a finished product.
But Kojima says no.
Kojima's art suggests that America is a generative process.
Like the artwork itself, it's not a static image, it's a loop.
Just as the pixels in his video installation are in a constant loop, they return to their positions, dissolve into noise, and then glitchily reconstruct again. Our cultural identity is doing the same thing. We are in a constant loop of encryption and decryption, of myth-making and myth-busting.
We're constantly rewriting our own story. Every generation takes the data and flips the image to suit its own needs.
And this leads to what the source calls the paradox of the age. Think about how much data we generate today. We have big data, high-definition video, surveillance cameras on every corner, satellites watching from above. We are, by far, the most documented civilization in all of human history.
We're recording everything, all the time.
And yet, the real Billy the Kid remains a secret, forever lost to time. And maybe the real America also remains hidden behind this overwhelming screen of binary noise.
We have more information than ever before, but do we actually have more truth?
That is the terrifying question at the heart of it. Kojima seems to suggest that the more data we have, the more entropy we create. The modern itinerant photographer, the media artist, the journalist, the documentarian is still just trying to fix a moment of truth in a moving world, but instead of using chemical fixative on a metal plate, they're using algorithms and code.
And they have to acknowledge that they can't freeze it perfectly. That the noise, the glitches, the entropy, it's all part of the picture now.
The noise is the medium.
So we're left with a choice. And this is really the central question that this whole deep dive leaves us with today.
It really comes down to this. Do you trust the mirrored myth on the steel plate?
It's tangible. You can touch it. It's worth $2.3 million. It has a physical history. But we know the information it presents is a lie.
Or do you trust the glitched reconstruction of the code?
It's factually accurate, it's right-handed, it's logically sound, but it's intangible. It's just data. It's a ghost in the machine.
The tangible lie versus the intangible truth.
And the conclusion Kojima seems to offer.
The truth isn't in one or the other. The truth lies in the movement between the two. It's in the friction. It's in the act of flipping back and forth between the myth and the data. That oscillation, that constant questioning, that is where reality lives now.
That is. Wow, that's something to really chew on. Let's take a breath and recap this journey, because we have covered some serious ground today.
We really have, from 19th century chemistry to 21st century cryptography.
We started with a $2.3 million tintype, a small scratched piece of rusted steel that lied to the world about Billy the Kid's dominant hand because of a strange quirk in wet plate chemistry.
We moved through the dusty world of the itinerant photographer, the original pioneers of social networking, risking explosions and poisoning to capture the visual truth of the frontier.
We then watched that very image get torn apart, pixel by pixel, by the digital artist Kenji Kojima. We saw it dissolve into the entropy of one-time pad encryption, a visual metaphor for how history itself decays over time.
We debated this idea of a digital reformation, the argument that value in our age shouldn't be about hoarding scarce physical objects like High Priest, but about sharing and interpreting abundant digital ideas like open source code.
And we landed on this profound idea of America as a generative loop, a constant calculation, a story that is never finished, only reprocessed.
History isn't a static object in a museum. It's a program we are running right now, over and over again.
So here is the final provocative thought I want to leave you with, listener. And this is something for you to mull over the next time you are scrolling through your own photos on your phone.
You need to think about your own digital tin types.
Exactly. You are creating a massive, sprawling archive of yourself every single day. Photos, texts, emails, your location data. It's all being encrypted, compressed, and stored on servers you will never see.
And eventually, inevitably, those files are going to corrupt, the formats will become obsolete, the data is going to glitch.
Future historians are going to look back at our era, and they won't see a clean, high-resolution picture of you. They're going to see fragments, they're going to see the gaps, they're going to see the noise.
Are we actually creating a high-resolution history for them? Or are we just creating more noise for some future algorithm to try and piece back together?
And maybe, just maybe, the next time you see a glitch in your own digital feed, a corrupted image, a buffering video, a strange artifact in a photo, don't just look at it as an error.
Look at it as the mechanism of modern memory. That glitch, that imperfection, that is how the future will see us.
We are all just ghosts in the machine, waiting for some future historian to try and decrypt us.
And hopefully, when they do finally decode us, they get our good side.
Let's hope they don't flip the image.
Yeah.
Thank you for diving deep with us. This has been a truly fascinating look at the intersection of cowboys and code.
An absolute pleasure. Keep questioning the image.
Always. We'll see you in the next deep dive.